So my first pregnancy was tough. It was a rough one, for a number of reasons. One being that I had extreme, I had an extreme case of hyperemesis gravidum, which is where you essentially can't hold anything down. Like not even water would stay down. I By the time I delivered my first child, I weighed less than I did when before I was pregnant. That is how significant that's how significant the issues were. I remember in my first pregnancy being completely gaslit by my OB or feeling gaslit by my OB. Like for example, if you have I walk in there and I say, "Oh, I've had spotting and I'm concerned," because I felt contractions throughout my entire first pregnancy. Entire first pregnancy had hyperemesis, and I had what I would consider cramping, what you would typically have with your menses. I had cramping throughout the whole pregnancy, but my Braxton Hicks, and they were Braxton Hicks because they went away with water and when I put my feet up. But my Braxton Hicks started, God, probably halfway through. And ironically, let me tell you, I was navigating this as a nursing student, and my mother is was formerly a nurse midwife. Like she's traveled all throughout Scotland, birthing babies and taking pride in birthing babies and teaching mothers and all sorts of stuff. So it's not like we were ignorant, right? By that time, I was losing consciousness in my third trimester. I remember I would lose orientation and wake up on the ground all the time. Got to the point where, because I was in nursing school. Look, you got to get it right. And I promised myself that I wasn't going to leave nursing school. So I would end up taking the bus because I wasn't safe to drive. I was literally passing out. Right, I would take the bus to school, and I'm not talking about like a school bus. I'm talking about like Metro. I would take the bus to school, and I buddied up with a few people that would kind of watch me. Right, like I had I guess you would say my babysitters. Shout out to my babysitters out there in the community, right? Who I gave them my emergency contact information, my husband's number, my mom's number, because we lived in the same city, so that if anything happened to me while I was in transit to school, then people knew what number to call. But I'm just like, yeah, you don't have to call 911, I'm good, but if I pass out, just call this number, because I did not have time for that. And plus, whenever I went into the hospital, it was just like, oh, we're going to monitor you for a little bit and then give you this big fat bill and do nothing for you. So whatever. But yeah, the birth process in itself was a trip. I'm not going to lie. And I'll do another. I'm sure I'll do another video just on my first birth. But I'm not gonna lie, things got pretty traumatic. And I am blessed and grateful to have survived